Right, here we are. The Cult Comedy Magazine 15-minute interview pack. Well, first thing to say, Ian, Willy and Neil Griffiths, co-editors, is to apologise fairly profoundly for answering this rather lately. Tisk. I find, on examining your letter, that it was sent in January 89. Now, various things have combined to make it rather difficult for me to have answered until now, and I'm terribly sorry. It's a day off that I've got, and here I am doing this, and I see that you were wanting to publish the interview for a charity production for Comic Relief. Well, of course, it's not too late to do that, but it is a little bit past the actual day of Comic Relief itself, and I'm very sorry indeed. There you are. That's how sorry I am. Now, questions. Number one, what are your first impressions of this interview pack? Well, it's a very professional presentation, very beautifully done. It's a very nice idea. It takes it out of the, well, what I can only call the donkey work out of answering questions by having this convenient disposable camera and cassette tape. So I think it's very good. I think it's very impressive. I think it's very excellent. I'm very impressed. Very excellented by it. Good. So, Stephen, on that play you scripted, has it really made you a millionaire, or are the papers lying? Well, now that's a bit of an old naughtiness, isn't it, to ask me that? Because, well, it's naughty. It's not a play, in fact. It's what the jargon calls a book. It doesn't mean a book in the sense of a novel or something you can buy at a bookshop. It's part of a musical, and the musical is divided into three sort of areas, if you like, of interest. Even if you don't like it, still is. That's to say, the music, the lyrics, and the book. The music is obviously the score, the lyrics are the words that go with the songs, and the book is the script in that sense. So, in a way, that's what I've done. So it's a book that I've scripted rather than a play. That's just splitting hairs, isn't it? You want to know whether I'm a millionaire or not? Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm not. I expect a fair amount of money to pass through my hands, but I like to spend it all. I like to spend it all by wasting my time asking a lot of impertinent questions from, look, there's the phone, isn't that exciting? Well, I'll put it on hold. Good, that was nice. That was a request to see if I'd write an article for the Daily Telegraph on Charlie Chaplin, which unfortunately I don't have time to, because, as I say, I'm wasting my time asking a lot of impertinent questions from you, young Neil and young Ian Willy. Now, question 3. There's no doubt that you're a left-wing intellectual. Do you think that's the sound of footsteps, isn't it? There's no doubt that you're a left-wing intellectual. Do you think there's such a thing as a right-wing intellectual? Well, boys, right-wing intellectual, it's a tricky one. I think that obviously it would be foolish to deny that there are right-wing people who are more than just National Front yobbos. And I wouldn't want for a moment to suggest that thought leads one only to left-wing conclusions. But I've never yet read the works of a right-wing intellectual which have struck me as being intellectually sound, let alone politically sound, and particularly those who are regarded as the right-wing intellectuals like Paul Johnson and Ferdinand Mount and Roger Scruton. I hope you don't know them, boys, because they're nasty, corrupting and unpleasant, and I wouldn't want you to go around reading them. And I don't dislike people because of their politics. There are plenty of people who are right-wing that I find perfectly charming. But it's one of those things, you know. It's a sort of leap of faith you make once you find that everything is better understood by a kind of left-wing approach. Then it's very hard to understand how people cannot see it. So, if I'm very honest, I would say that I tend, in my heart of hearts, to deny the intellectual aspirations of the right wing, though I suppose they do exist. What a boring answer. I'm so sorry. I'll try and make a more interesting one. I've never had occasion to use the word olid. I've had occasion to use its anagram Lido on occasion. When in Venice, the Venice Lido, for instance. Otherwise, olid, no. I'm sorry about that. Well, apart from now, of course, I've used it about 4 times, and I'm very proud to have done so. Question number 5. You're about 6'4", aren't you? How tall is that exactly? Now, well, you see, you've come up with a lovely question, haven't you, that it's very hard for me to answer, because you've sort of neatly, haven't you? You've done a sort of neatness. How tall is that? Well, If you were to put a 6'4" ruler against me, you'd find it exactly matched my height. Matter of fact, of course, people often say they think I'm taller. The point I'm making there is they don't sort of believe the calibration, so that someone will say to you, "Gosh, you're tall. How tall are you?" And I'll go 6'4", and they go, "Oh, I thought you were taller." As if 6'4" isn't telling them how tall I am. Do you see what I mean? I almost feel I could say 4 foot, and they'd say, "Oh, I thought you were taller." Well, you probably don't see the point I'm making, because I don't really either. Number 6, you seem to appear on just about every show on TV, and the bits in between the twin phrases, "see you in a couple of minutes and welcome back." Why is this? Aren't you compromising your principles to appear in ads? Well, now, I'm going a bit heavy. Seem to appear in just about every show on TV is a bit naughty, isn't it? I mean, if you compare it to Andy Crane or something, no one says to Andy Crane, "God, you're on television all the time," because his job happens to be a daily one. Mine is, when was I last on? I don't think I was on last week or the week before, for instance. I mean, there are hundreds of hours of broadcasting a week on which I don't appear, but I do the odd thing, I suppose. And adverts, the bits in between. Well, there's the Alliance and Leicester series of commercials. Aren't you compromising your principles to appear in ads? Now, what principles would I be compromising by appearing in ads? If I had principles that appearing in ads was very bad, then appearing in them would be compromising them. Left-wing principles don't say don't appear in ads. As far as I know, at least, there is no handbook on left-wing credible thing to do which says don't appear in advertisements. I don't think by appearing in advertisements I'm endorsing or condoning a system I don't believe in. I mean, I certainly would take somebody's point that if I was a revolutionary communist who wanted to get rid of capitalism, then appearing in commercials would be rather bad. But that's not what I believe in. I'm what you might call a democratic socialist who believes in what is called officially a mixed economy, which is to say an economy which mixes the private sector with the public sector, and that's always been the ideal of most democratic socialists, I think. And, well, building societies, I know what you're going to say, possibly about interest rates and so on. But my view, and I know Hughes's as well, is that there is a difference between endorsing a product as a person, as to say, me, Stephen Fry, going and saying, "I've tried this and it's really good, you should try it too," and doing basically what is an acting job, which is appearing on as a character, Mostyn and his chum on the Alliance and Leicester commercials, as a character, sort of just having good fun, making a short film that may or may not be rather enjoyable, and that's really the point as far as we're concerned. The fact that it's for Alliance and Leicester seems to me to be supremely irrelevant, especially because most people who stop one in the street about it say, "Oh, I love that Abbey National thing you do," or that Halifax thing. They don't actually notice what the product is, which doesn't worry me. However, it's a good point, and I don't know. I don't think I'm compromising my principles. Number 7. If you had to describe your personality for an imaginary or possibly very real psychoanalyst in a Channel 4 youth programme, would you use any of these 4 words? A, shy? No. B, manic depressive? No. C, nymphomaniac? No, Waysville, Idaho. D, lazy? Yes. E, an axe murderer? Ish? No, I don't think so. F, optimist? Yes. G, kleptomaniacal tendencies? No. Used to be, but no longer. H, fluffy? Well, one always hopes so. One always strives to be fluffy. I, but, ... Yeah. J, interesting? No, I don't think I'm very interesting. So, what have we come up with there? We've come up with fluffy and lazy, haven't we? I would add to that glossy, pert. Well, that'll do for the moment. I hope, obviously, in every way gorgeous, splendid, noble, high, true, free, and wonderful. But probably fluffy about covers it with lazy. 8. One for Hugh if he's about. Not about at the moment. I'm seeing him later. Was your father Welsh or Norwegian? No, Hugh's wasn't. But both Hugh's parents were Scottish, I can tell you that. His mother's maiden name was Laidlaw, and his father's name, incredibly, was Lorry. Both good Scots names, and that's incidentally, just for your own records, not how you spell Norwegian. Only one I, and that comes after the G, not before. Oh, you pedant, Stephen, you terrible old schoolmaster. 9. Are you happy? Well, I never like to say that I'm happy, boys. It's a kind of tempting providence thing, isn't it? You know, if you say you're happy, then you can be absolutely certain that the next time you go out of the door, as P.G. Woodhouse has it, fate is lurking around the corner with a sock stuffed with lead piping ready to bean you one. And so I like to say that I'm not desperately unhappy at the moment, and that's about as far as I'm prepared to go. 10. When all your alternative comic chums get together for social occasions, does Ben Elton say Thatch an awful lot? Well, no. Not an awful lot. I mean, if the woman's wretched name happens to come up, Thatch is certainly quicker than Thatcher. So it would be said by him then. I have to say most of us would probably use it too. It's just sort of sunk into the language as far as we're concerned. But we tend to find better things to talk about than old Thatch. 11. Can you think of a good question to ask John Sessions, fellow regular on Radio 4's improvisational game show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Well, let me see. What's a good question for old John Boy Sesh? Ask him what he thinks of Canada. It's a very good question. He's very good on Canada. He spent 2 years there and he had the most miserable time in his life. So I'd ask him what he thinks about Canada. And then it says, Stephen Fry, witster, witticism, very witty person extraordinaire, thank you very kindly. Oh, and by the way, you go on to say, wasn't there a rumour that you're writing a novel in which Professor Trefusis appears? That's quite right, I am. At the moment I'm filming, and have been for the last 3 weeks, though. Filming every day, 6 days a week, which is jolly exciting, but is it tiring or what, laddies? So I hope to start on that at the end of April and work all through June and July on it, in May indeed. So that's when I hope it's going to be done. Second question, if not, what have you got planned for the year ahead? Well, as I say, I've just done this filming, which is a drama, a thriller, I think, a psychological thriller, which will be part of the Screen 2 next year, probably January or so, which I hope will be very exciting. Then I go and finish the novel. Then I go off to Italy with Hugh to do some writing for a couple of weeks, then come back and finish the writing, and that's for the next series of Fry and Laurie. And then when that has finished, Hugh and I do some filming of a new series of Jeeves and Bertie. You know, Jeeves and Wooster, the P.G. Woodhouse stories, and she'll be filming for quite a long time. Then we make the second series of Fry and Laurie, by which time we've got ourselves to February. Then I appear in a play in the West End called Look, Look by Michael Frayn, which takes us up to about September 1990. Then Hugh and I do the next series of Fry and Laurie, which will be the third by that time. That takes us to February or March 1991. Then I have a Tuesday afternoon in which to fit a nervous breakdown, and after that, who knows? Unemployment and horror stare me in the face. But for the moment, I'm sort of okay and fixed till 1991. It's a bit distressing in a way to have one's life so laid out in front of one, but it's also not undistressing. So there's a kind of balance there, isn't there? There's that distressing side and that less than distressing side, and who would have it otherwise? And hi-ho, and there we go, heyday and holiday. Well, good. Here it is all. Now, here's your tape. I hope you find the photographs satisfactory, and I can only reiterate my obscene apologies for having taken so long in sending back your lovelinesses. God bless you all. Joy attend you in all your doings. Bye.